Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we're covering issues that we feel are most important to parents right now, including school safety. And so we have a return guest. So John Martin is the co-founder of SAFEtech, and he'll explain more about what they do. But he's has a new post on sachartermoms.com. It's a guest post with more advice for parents about how to be an advocate, how to be involved, what kind of questions to ask, what to look for in a school, and also like what's going on with grant money that's accessible to public schools to improve their school safety. So, John, I'm excited to talk about this with you. It's such a serious topic, and there's, so many disturbing stories in the news. But I hope that this gives parents a sense of hope.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things you cover in the guest post is what are some signs that parents can look for that a school may have a school culture that promotes safety. So what are some of those signs?
Definitely. So some signs even before you get inside the building, you can look for fencing around the school. You can look for security officers. Are they visible on campus? Maybe in the parking lot, maybe in the front of the school. Also, entering in the school, what kind of visitor check-in systems do they have? Are they running visitor IDs before allowing visitors to enter in the school? And so these are all some early signs without actually entering into the school area, but also too during school hours. Is there staff presence in high traffic areas such as drop off and pickup lines, hallways during passing period, cafeterias during lunchtime? And so these are just some signs you can look out for that are observable for any parent. And so that really tells you a lot about how much a school is promoting school safety in those regards. And not to say that if they don't have one or two of those, they're not promoting school safety, but those are just some signs to look out for.
Yeah, and those are easily visible. Yeah, and so they like at this time of year, some of the families in our discussion group on Facebook, they're saying things like, "Hey, we got an offer from this school, but also this other school. They're doing school tours and school visits, and so those are things that they can look for, when they have access to the campus." So I wanted to ask about another thing that you mentioned in the post that. So, we're talking about school culture. Like, is there a school culture that promotes safety? And kind of the flip side of that is, there seems to be across, like across many schools, or like across our society, kind of an increase in gun violence. And, I think a lot of parents are concerned about how does the increase in gun violence impact the culture of a school? And so what are your thoughts on that?
So in the article, I referred to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basically, what he is stating is that before we can achieve our full potential, or self-fulfillment, personal growth, there's some basic needs that need to be met. And the first is physiological needs such as food, shelter, water. And unfortunately, across the country, we have students who lack some of these basic needs. And so after that, safety is the real key factor. So personal security and health needs must be met as well. So that's kind of like the foundation for personal growth and development. And over my experience, in working in education, I've seen how, lacking in these basic needs, these areas can affect student performance. And so if students are afraid to come to school, or if, they're coming to school hungry, or they don't feel safe, it really lacks motivation for students to attend school. And so, of course, if students aren't attending, then grades suffer. And so it's all connected. But I think, prioritizing basic student needs as the core foundation. Once we do that, then we can see, the academic growth. So going back to your question, violence and whether it be just school violence in general. We need safe places, safe spaces for students to learn. And once we can create that, then we'll see students take off academically, socially, and see them reach their full academic potential.
Yeah. So if they right, so looking at the hierarchy of needs, if they're feeling unsafe, they're not able to do those higher level things, like think about what they want for their future, or think about complex topics because they're more concerned about their personal safety or their hunger, or maybe some trauma that they experienced outside of school. So yeah, it's something to always keep in mind. And some of us are lucky to feel pretty safe most of the time, but we have to remember that there are people in our community who don't feel safe. And it's especially tragic when children don't feel safe because they should be the most protected in our society. Um, yeah. So, and I think one of the things that I thought was especially helpful about your article is, because I think like in the day to day, like parents, like we have this sense of worry, but we don't know what's happening or like what schools are doing about it, what our state is doing about it. But you talk about these grant funds that TA is dispersing, and you even have a link so you like a parent can check like, is my child's school on this list of schools or districts that's getting the funding? And so what is this program about? And like, what can parents learn about that might help them feel, a little bit reassured that something's being done?
Right. So it's a school safety grant initiative through the governor's office and TEA. And so basically, tragically after the Uvalde tragedy, this initiative took place. Of course, obviously much needed to help make the necessary upgrades in school safety. So basically, there's a grant that the schools that are eligible can apply for, and within that grant, schools and districts state their needs and what they would use the funds for under the umbrella of the grant, and so that's all documented. And simply, what parents can do to find out if their school is where they are in the process is if they applied, if so, were they awarded? And if they are awarded, then what upgrades are the campus going to see? So what are they purchasing the money for? And it's all within the safety parameters. That information is usually it's like a top-down approach. So the district would get a word of the award and what you're going to allocate the money to within the district or within the charter. And then that information is then passed down to the campuses. So if parents want to give that a little bit of time, because I think we're hitting some deadlines, and I'm not sure how long the layover is from getting awarded to actually getting the funds, but that could be something parents can ask for in the near future of their campus.
Yeah, and so some of it could be like physical improvements, like changing the access points to the school, but some of it could be for things like buying equipment, right?
Right. Correct. So
Yeah,
upgrades in safety technology, alert systems, panic alert systems, etc., silent alert
yeah,
systems.
yeah, yeah. There's and I think another thing that's really helpful in your articles is I think like as parents, like we may be aware that things like drills and stuff are happening on campus, but we don't necessarily know what the procedures are. And I think sometimes like as parents, um like we sort of dread something that might happen and we try to avoid thinking about it. But maybe if we can alleviate some of the dread if we know that schools are prepared. So I guess what are some of the questions that parents could ask a school, about what their procedures are for handling, an emergency situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, where I would start is staff trained. So, are your teachers and staff trained on emergency procedures? Do they have access to them? And so, when you think about it in the context of like, teachers are, you know, the gatekeepers of the school and the students, and so. Do they feel comfortable with those procedures? Do they know what to do in a lockdown, a fire drill? Hazmat drill, et cetera. So that's a good place to start. Also, how often do emergency drills take place? Are there lockdown drills, once per semester? Are they 3 times a semester? That's important to know because usually parents get wind of the drills after or during. And if they don't have an idea of like, oh, well, they already had a lockdown drill. Is this real or fake? What's going on? It could create a lot of chaos and panic and worry for all stakeholders who aren't aware. So how often do they drill? When do they take place? Um, do parents receive information during emergencies? So that would be a good question to ask your administrators. Who's going to communicate uh, to parents during emergency situations? How often will I receive notifications? Things of that nature. Also, how do parents report suspicious activity? So if you see something, do something, right? Report it. And so, what does that process look like? Do they email? Is there an app? Is there a platform? How do they report that? Um, and then also, are counselors available throughout the school year? Counseling, mental health is a big component of safety, and so if in the event a student needs to talk to someone, will there be a counselor available to speak with them and help them through, challenging times? So those are some basic questions that can be asked of a school
Yeah.
surrounding safety.
I appreciate how the way you're framing this. Um, and when there are such intense feelings, like parents, we feel so protective about our kids that sometimes the energy comes out in a negative way, like as like anger or frustration or blame. Like a parent will express anger towards the school, and the school may just be trying to be prepared and try to follow a good procedure, but like the parent comes with that anger already, which I understand. I've been there. There are times when I've you know gone into mama bear mode. But I think the more we kind of know and ahead of time and be rational, we can have a real conversation about it and share information. And I know in the past, especially when my son was younger, and since he's on the autism spectrum, anything unexpected he'd have a very strong reaction to that. And if it's a true emergency, there's nothing the teachers can do. They just try to help him, get through it. But if they knew a drill was coming, they would try to alert him about it or give him like a sensory toy or a fidget, and just try to help. They knew it would be especially hard on him if there was a change in routine, and they would try to communicate that to him and to me. Like I've gotten messages from a teacher saying, "Hey, we had a fire drill today. Just give him an extra hug." I'm like, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And like that kind of relationship building between a teacher and a parent can go such a long way. And you mentioned about reporting, like sometimes parents are the ones who get wind of something, maybe a text thread or something that their kids are on, and get a feeling that there might be a threat, and it's important to do something about that.
I will add, some of the biggest and most serious cases that I've been involved with from an investigation standpoint when I was an assistant principal. Most of that information came from parent concerns. So they just had a feeling. They noticed a couple things didn't really add up and reported it. And when you look into it, it was very serious. And so it is key if parents feel concerned to just relay that information to the school and let them investigate. And hopefully it's nothing, right? Hopefully it's nothing to worry about. But in the event that it is something serious, it can really impact the community. And so that is vital.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of I mean, there's so many good links and good resources in your article. Like one of them was, like I was clicking around, like the data about, like the increase in violence in schools, and like the fact that a lot of it's in the parking lot. Like it's in the parking lot. I didn't know that. That's interesting. And then just like overall, like there's so much mental health distress that teenagers especially are experiencing, right? Anxiety and depression. And again, it's something where like as parents we have to watch our kids, and and communicate with the teachers, because like, the teachers might notice something on campus that they want to tell the parents about. And if we can work together better, then that helps schools stay safer, right? That helps us like prevent a tragedy, hopefully.
Yes, communication is key, and you touched on a good point. When we're noticing something at on campus or in class with a student, maybe they're withdrawn, maybe maybe there's more outbursts, and if we just hold on to that information, we're not doing we're doing a disservice to the student and to the parents. And likewise, parents know that their child, their student is going through a tough time, maybe a traumatic event, maybe a loss, or maybe just a change in behavior. If they notice that, it gives educators, teachers, staff more information that we can use to provide support. And so a two-way, open two-way communication, a solid open line of communication it can really go a long way. That way, the student needs don't fall between the cracks. And so I just think that it's vital to support all students.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and speaking of communication, like I know it's like you've explained to me about how like SAFEtech, like the product. So based on your experience as an assistant principal and many other roles, like so communication is really important in an emergency situation, and that's kind of what SAFEtech is meant to address, right? Is that like sometimes like a teacher might not know where a particular student is, and that's an emergency. Like you need to find out where all the students are. There needs to be communication between the classroom teachers and kind of the central knowledge, I guess. Well, okay, you explained it better than me, but can you talk more about like the SafeTech product and how it improves communication in a crisis situation?
Absolutely. We are an emergency management system. And so we prioritize communication first by starting with an alert system. So we have alert system via SMS, text notification, or if you're on your computer, a pop-up notification. And so basically, um, sorry, we have the on campus over here.
That's right.
So
You're bringing the knowledge from the source.
Oh yeah, exactly. Straight from the source. So, so our alert system goes to all staff and then also first responders as well. You mentioned our attendance piece. We have a digital attendance form that, in order to uh, keep accountability with students and staff members as well. So as when they're checking in, all students are accounted for, teachers accounted for, checking off the box like yes, like that's key. We have a panic alert feature, and so normally with your panic alerts, that's pretty much stationed with certain individuals on campus, whether it be your front office staff, your administration team, etc. But we have an internal panic alert system where if a teacher is in distress and needs support or help from the crisis team, from an admin team, at a press of a button, that same alert will go to those individuals. And so it's important that all staff members have the ability to not only get support when they need it, but communicate. So those are kind of like our key features in SafeTech right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really appreciate how like you have this knowledge from on the school side, but you're a good communicator about what parents need to know, and I hope that these blog posts kind of help promote like this, communication and relationships between parents and schools. Like as parents, as we kind of process our fear, and but also try to, get real information about it. But so I guess, but anyone at a school who's listening, like, I want to tell them like how they can get in touch with you and learn more about SafeTech. So I just put up on the screen the website, right? So it's safetech.company, right?
Yes.
And they can reach out to you by email, right?
Yes, ma'am. J
So
Martin
for
at
any,
Safe.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, for anyone who's just listening to the podcast, not the video, yeah, J Martin at SafeTech dot company. So yeah, best of luck with your startup and getting this technology out to more users because having better communication in that crisis situation is really important. So would you have kind of any closing thoughts like for parents like me who just worry about dropping our kids off at school when we see so much stressful news in the headlines?
You know what? I'm a parent as well, and so I think we all share those same concerns, but we're all stakeholders, in this, and so going back to communication and collaboration, the more we can work together and productively, and we're not divided, we're not, there's not any grudges or anything like that. The more we can work together, it only benefits the students, our kids. And so we got to make sure that we're keeping the students their best interests first. when we're communicating with each other, and together we can create a safer future for our students. And so that's kind of like the ending thought I want to leave with. But also too, I want to highlight you and your efforts with SA
Oh,
Charter Moms. And so I know y'all are doing outstanding things. And so just keep up the good work. And for you to create a platform like this for educators and other individuals to speak on their experiences is truly valuable. So I want to thank you for that.
well, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, our team is in planning mode and working really hard. And I get, and before we went on the air, I said, oh, my brain is so tired because my team and we've been doing so much planning. But we're really excited about what's to come. And I'm happy that parents have so many more choices, and they can do things like look at the safety situation at one school versus another school, and like, is this a school culture that promotes safety? And and that's another way that we can promote better education in San Antonio, is by making sure that parents are they're stakeholders, and parents have a voice in what kind of school cultures we have here in San Antonio.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate the blog post, all the helpful links, and thanks for joining me on Charter Moms Chat so we can share good information with parents.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.
You too.